Hello everyone, and welcome to the Kingdom Hearts 4 Prediction Draft. If you're watching this when it releases, this video is part of March Caprice, an annual online celebration of the Kingdom Hearts series, so check out marchcaprice.com to keep track of all the other content coming out this week. For today's exercise, I am joined by two familiar faces on the channel, and depending on which one of them you ask, two good friends of mine. Returning after a hard-fought victory in the KH Trivia Game Show from back in July, it's PJ. PJ, how are you?
Very well. How are you doing?
I'm great. Had a great day putting this all together. Really excited for this. PJ, where can the people find you if they want to see what you're up to in the community?
My main thing is my art Twitter, so you can follow me at Cabletown Art. I've got that handle on Tumblr and Instagram as well, but I keep forgetting to post there. So Twitter, or I guess X, is the best place to find me.
Recently re-releasing the Kingdom Hearts Tarot deck. I'm going to put pictures of that on screen because that's one of my favorite things that PJ's up to right now.
Thanks.
Definitely go check that out. I've been really into Persona lately, so that's right up my alley. And returning after a hard-fought loss in the trivia game show, it's Shane.
Hey.
Shane, how are you?
Good. It feels good to be on the bottom today.
I mean, we don't know what's going to happen this time, Shane. You might be able to bring it back on this go-around.
Starting on the bottom, I'll say starting.
Yeah, we'll say starting on the bottom. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see where he ends up. Shane, I would say plug what you're up to, but it's kind of like this event that we're a part of right now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all I do, right, yeah.
It's March Caprice.
It's kind of, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'm one of the organizers for March Caprice, the event going on right now, and if for some reason you're watching this in the future, after March Caprice is done, check out March Caprice. We're probably still having it, hopefully.
Yeah.
But you can find my personal stuff on Twitter, at twitter.com or x.com or whatever the fuck, at the Chain of Fire there. I'll have a link tree in my profile that'll bring you to all my other what's it's and who's it's going on. KH Database, KH Wiki, Twitch, maybe sometime.
Hell yeah, thank you, Shane. Okay, so as I said, we are here to not only predict what will be in KH4, but to draft a team of those predictions. And unlike last time, I will be participating instead of just hosting, so PJ has two people to be instead of just one. Of course, we won't actually know who wins this draft until KH4 actually comes out, and then this video will just serve as like an embarrassing time capsule to show how wrong we were. But I guess until then, you can leave a comment declaring who has the best and/or most accurate team. To keep this at least somewhat structured, the draft will be broken down into several categories, and each category will function as a separate round of the draft. To make things a bit more interesting, this will also be a snake draft, meaning that the first drafter will get first pick, the second will get second, the third will get third, but then it reverses back to the first drafter. So the third player will also get fourth, it goes back to the second player for fifth, and the first player gets sixth and seventh, and so on. If that's confusing, don't worry, it'll make sense soon enough. Each player is going to be able to draft 3 things from each category for a total of 9 picks per round. So in order to determine the drafting order for the first round, I'm going to spin a wheel with our names on it, and whoever it lands on will decide who drafts in which position.
It's a cool wheel that you built there, Pat.
Yeah, I built it all by myself.
Wow.
I don't know why you have to be shirtless while you're doing this, but that's fine.
I'll probably put this in post. Let's see. Wheel spinning. And it goes...
I knew it would be me.
to PJ.
Oh my god. All of that, like... army
right,
green
fair.
Confetti. Not a fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Pat can go first, and then Chain, and then me.
Okay, so that means I will get picks 1, and I don't get anything until 6 and 7. Shane will get picks 2, 5, and 8, and PJ will get picks 3, 4, and 9. The first category is Non-Sora playable characters. So we're trying to predict any characters that we might get to play as in KH4 who are not Sora. And I've got the first pick here, and I do have a list pre-selected here. Now there's like what I think is most likely and what I hope will happen. And you could probably read between the lines on that, but I'm not going to give away too much. And I think about, you know, the previous games and what's happened in those, especially the mainline ones. It's tough. I think I'm going to have to go with Riku for my first pick. We know he's on his way to, you know, Unreality. I think that's a safe bet. It's not the most exciting pick, but I think, like, if I'm trying to cover all my bases here, I think you gotta consider Riku as a top contender to be also playable. Whether it's a split campaign or just for a little bit, I think that's my safest bet.
Yeah, honestly, that was going to be my first pick as well, so I think that's a good pick. That's solid.
Alright, sorry to steal that from you, Shane, but that means you get pick number 2.
Hey, that's alright. I'm going to go a little bit outside of the box. I'm going to actually say Yozora.
Ooh.
That was my first pick.
Even if it's not a full campaign type of deal, if it's just a little section or a little, You know, a la the Remind fights or something along those lines. The Riku fight or the Xemnas fight where he plays Riku, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good call. I had that on my list as well. It was lower down from a couple others, but it was up there.
Well, hell.
PJ gets 3 and 4.
Well, then I guess my next one that I think is wishful thinking, but also if it's going to happen, it's going to happen now, Kairi.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that Melody of Memory set her up for an interesting training arc for real this time, if that's where they go. I think that she'll be next in Quadratum after Riku when it's appropriate. So, yeah, now's a good time to kind of play through her scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. She was my second pick there. I think she's the wishful thinking one, but also I think, like you said, now is going to be the time to have her, so that's a good pick. And then PJ gets 4 as well.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness.
And this is where it gets interesting, because I feel like all the obvious ones are kind of off the board now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a weird one. Because I think that like all of the ones that are likely to happen have already been called. So for my weird one, I'm gonna pick Ventus because of the amount of story potential with his unresolved issues from the Key era tying directly into the Foreteller arc.
Yeah, he's got stuff coming up, especially with TVA leaving Land of Departure at the end of Remind. I think there's potential for all 3 of them there. All right, interesting. That means it goes back to Chain for 5.
Well, once again, I'm kind of thinking, what's a little bit of what short section could be done with a playable character? And I'm thinking about Donald the Goofy in the Underworld and kind of that what we saw. I'm thinking maybe we could get a little Mickey Mouse section.
Fuck! I really wanted Mickey because I really thought that was going to make it back to me. He was third on my list because I was thinking, well, he's playable in 2 and 3, so there's like precedence here. Like he was barely in 1, and then in 2 he shows up when Sora dies in some fights, and in 3 he gets the microwave hallway. So I think there's definitely some history there, and I really wanted Mickey to make it back to me because I think that would have been a great pick. But good on you,
He's
Shane.
a big part of every game. It's a good choice.
All right, well that does mean I get 6 and 7. Okay. Yeah, I was considering like Donald and or Goofy. Like if you're gonna play as one of them, you'd probably play as both in some capacity.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I want to go there. They've only ever been playable in days. And PJ took Ven. Okay, this is gonna be kind of weird.
Yeah.
But for 5, or not for 5, for 6, I'm gonna go for Aqua.
Yep.
Out of TVA, I had her as the most likely just because she's already led a game herself. And maybe that means she's less likely because she's already had that kind of time to shine. But I feel like I'm most like invested in what she's doing out of those 3 moving forward. So I'm picking her. I think there's like room to explore, the trauma that she endured in 0.2, and we saw that surface a bit in 3. But then I know Terra's still there, but I'm actually going to go with Lee for my other pick. I think, we didn't get to full-on play as him in 3 or Remind. I mean, he's in, like, the big friendship tornado against the replicas. But I think with the whole Isa and Lee thing with Subject X, like, I don't know, Nomura said that he's not sure, like, how much this game's going to focus on non-Sora characters. But I think there's maybe outside potential that there's, like, a Lee segment. I think at this point we're, like, really, scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of likeliness. But I'd be happy to see it. So I'm going to take Aqua and Lee there, which means it goes back to Chain for the 8th and penultimate pick.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of also think about some of those Labyrinth fights, and I know that I think we're the last people that we didn't choose that has quote-unquote fight data that was playable is Roxas, so I'm going to go with Roxas for my final pick.
Yeah, good call. I think any time where, the gang is all alive and operating on the same page as each other, I think you gotta consider Roxas there. He's back in action. I'm always, like, curious to think about, are we gonna bench these characters? Are they gonna keep, like, being in the mix with things? So only time will tell there. All right, and that means PJ gets our final and 9th pick here in this round.
Oh, goodness. You know what? I'm going to go for the Donald Goofy combo.
Yeah.
I think giving them a scenario away from Sora is an interesting idea. There is evidence to suggest that that might be the case. We haven't played as them except for in days, and if we're going to do it, now is the time.
Yeah.
Even for just like a little thing, I think that would be a lot of fun.
Like a tutorial spot, like if that underworld thing is all in the first 20 minutes, I could see that, yeah.
Or even like, I don't know, like a 10-minute fun thing that they just, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
They're in a minecart or something, yeah.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, very good, guys. So that means out of the main trios, the only ones that got undrafted were Terra and Shion. which they were on my list, but they were lower down. So there you go. Which means we move on to our next category. Next category is going to be Final Boss. Obviously, we don't know, like, really anything about who's going to be, like, the true antagonist of this game. Obviously, we know we're moving into the, you know, the Lost Masters arc. But as to say, like, who is the true final boss, your guess is as good as mine, and we're going to figure that out. We're going to spin the wheel again. This time it's going to be between me and Shane only, and then one of us will pick the order. All right.
Hey!
Okay, so I get to choose what order we go in. Do I want the first pick, or do I want it to come back to me? Yeah, I'm going to take first draft on this one again. And then I'm going to have Shane go second and PJ go third. So I guess the same order that we had last
order.
time.
Get stuck in the middle, bitch.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with that. So for my first pick, and I really don't know like the course that this game is gonna take. I feel like with 3, it was very easy to know that Xehanort would be the final boss. It just kind of made sense. It was like baked into the premise of the entire game. With this, like we have no idea how far we're going. Like, are we chipping away at some foretellers? Are we like already going right for the big bad in the master? Is there something else that we don't even know about? And for the record, I think like something that we don't know should not be like a viable pick for this, because I feel like that would be.
Oh, come on!
I think that
Secret
would
third option.
That would be like the chalk pick for the best option, I would say. But I mean, I think just to play it safe, because I don't see us fighting the master as early as 4, so I'm just gonna go with like Lushu, whether that's in like a Zigbar form or like, you know, some other form that he takes. I feel like he is like, you know, the master's right-hand man. I could see it like we take him down here, and then the next game we move on to the master, but I think that's where I'm going to go, whether it's him using a Keyblade or his guns again, some form of Lushu, which means Chain falls to you for 2.
You know what? I will leave the obvious one out on a plate for PJ to pick up the scraps from. I think I'm gonna go a little bit more. I've got to repeat last round, and I'm going to say Yozora. I think that there's a possibility that it reflects KH3, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think about like the history of secret bosses in the series where, you know, Xemnas shows up as a secret boss in 1, he is the final boss at 2. You get Lingering Will in 2, which he's not the final boss in BBS, but he's like a part of it for that campaign for Terra. So yeah, it's curious to think about Yozora showing up in 3, and then you would have to think that like his fight, if he is the final boss in 4, it would have to be easier than his 3 secret boss appearance.
Right, yeah.
So that's the only like hurdle for me there, but he was on my list. Okay, PJ gets 3 and 4. Is it dangerous to give PJ 2 picks in a row? Should we stop doing this?
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Too late.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the obvious one, so shove that right up there, Chain. I'm gonna go with an unconventional one that I have to get hyper specific about.
Oh boy.
I think a good choice is the Primordial Darkness.
Ooh. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Specifically, I don't know if it's. No, I'm gonna keep it to one of the main 7, if not all, because they're a hive mind, obviously, but then they break apart from the whole. But it's going to be one or all of the deadly 7 of the darknesses. Yeah,
that's a great call, and I didn't even think about that when I made my list. But whether it's like,
ooh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, whether it's like just a straight up darkness or like something having to do with like. Well, I'm not going to say, but there's a character that I feel like it, you know, could be intertwined there and might show up, but...
Just say Vanitas, who cares? Who
Well,
cares, Pat?
I mean,
I was wondering. Is
Vanitas still on the board after this? Like, does that...
Yeah, because Vanitas isn't one of the main 7.
Okay. But PJ, you're just taking, like, a darkness.
I'm picking one of the main 7.
Okay, that's fair.
In the most generic terms. Because we don't know if they've possessed the foretellers, we don't know if there's one in the box, there's just too much we don't know. And they could come together and form another there's just a lot. So I'm leaving it very vague and going one of the main 7. The other 6 are out there for y'all. With Vanitas, there is a difference between like the darkness he was before and the entity that he became after.
Right.
So I think I would accept both of those as different separate answers if you wanted.
Yeah.
But it may not matter in the final game. Okay, so my next pick is another unusual one, but I can't shake the feeling that this character is going to be a bigger part of the story in 4. I am going with Sigurd.
Ooh, nice. So PJ's going a full mobile game on us right here. going mobile mode.
Yeah, but also
No, it makes
also
sense.
not.
No, I know,
because he's the narrator of the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. You're making Sunny drool right now. I just want you to know.
Yeah,
that.
Sunny Novus.
That's
is
what I'm
having a
best
field
at.
day. So
I fully believe that at the end of the 4 trailer, you see the Master of Masters on top of a skyscraper looking down.
yeah.
What we presume to be the Master anyway. And then there's another hooded guy next to him. A lot of people are saying that that's Zigbar Lushu. I think it's way too early in the story for those two characters to be reunited.
Yeah.
I think the other hooded figure is Sigurd.
Yeah, that's another good call. Shit. I shouldn't have given PJ 2 in a row. What a mistake.
Oh, was I going to pick the obvious one?
PJ, would you have picked Lushu before either of those, or no?
No, because I think he's too important.
Yeah, I think he is too. Now that I'm hearing you guys talk about it, damn it. All right, good picks from PJ. Goes back to Chain.
Based on what little we've seen of quote-unquote Kingdom Hearts 4, a lot of people have been comparing this to a potentially Dream Drop 2.
Okay.
And the final boss in Dream Drop was Sora as Riku. So I'm going to go and flip that around, and I'm going to say that is a Riku that it does not appear to be Riku. So I'm going a little specific.
So Riku. We'll just say Riku for that.
Okay.
I accept it.
Yeah,
That's on my list. So I think there's a
yeah.
non-zero possibility that it's for some reason Riku at the end.
And we've seen people, I kind of like the idea of Riku being masked, or maybe we don't know it's Riku, maybe we do. We've had we've had the Roxas Xion fight in Halloween Town. We've had Riku fighting Sora and Ventus's armor, Ventus's armor. Or maybe there's a flip-floppy battle a la the final boss of Nier Automata.
Well, I think... Okay, so in the mobile game, the Master of Masters says that he wants to strike down the ancient darknesses by putting them in vessels so they can be struck down in a human form. But then he tells Lushu that none of them are going to lose their human form, or going to get sacrificed, I guess. I took that to mean that he has backup vessels waiting for them. I think it would be really cool if the established characters that are in our main circle of characters are the Master's backup vessels for the Foretellers, which would explain why those characters all kind of look similar even while they're in their robes. Kind of a reversal of the rebirth theory that was popular 10 years ago.
Yeah.
God.
So that would be great, if Ira possesses Riku and then he becomes the
Ira Riku fight.
I hate thinking that.
Well, speaking of Ira, for our next 2 picks from me, I think I have to play the field here, and I think it's possible that it's just a foreteller, whether we fight them all in a row or it's just one that we take down at the end of 4. I'm just gonna go with Ira. I feel like he's the figurehead, the figure horn even of the foreteller, so it makes sense if he's the biggest baddest one that's not Lushu or the Master. Although none of us have picked the Master yet. Is it possible that I'm not gonna pick him either? I don't think, but. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ira for pick 6, and then I could pick another foreteller, or I could kind of go on the route that Chain went. I'm just gonna be weird and say Sora for the next pick. I feel like if it is a split campaign and something happens to Sora, and this is the final step of saving him and bringing him back to the Realm of Light, whether it's Kairi or Riku fighting him, kind of a reverse of what Chain said, except Sora is on the boss end of things. I'll go with that, and that brings us back to Chain for pick 8.
So I'm actually going to go down the foreteller route.
Okay.
I am going to pick Ava.
Yeah.
Because
I'm so glad that you did, because I was stuck. I was stuck between her and another.
Okay, well, good. I'll let you have the other one. But yeah, Ava for obvious reasons.
Ooh, nice.
I think that, Ira, I think, is a good second choice for foreteller, and I was juggling between Ira and Ava in my mind, so I think I want to go with Ava.
Yeah, that's fair. I think those two are the main foretellers, and then the other ones are, I couldn't imagine them being final boss, but...
Yeah.
All right, that means PJ is pick number 9 again.
Kairi.
Oh my god. All right, talk us through that.
I don't really have much of a reason other than it's the most unexpected thing.
Yeah.
I think that if we want to give her more to do and have it be justified and have her re-enter into the fold of protagonists and not just tertiary characters, we have to have big swings. I think that having a pure light fall to darkness could have major implications.
Yeah.
Maybe she could be possessed by the darkness. Maybe she could be possessed by Ava. I don't know. But I think that having her be the final boss is an interesting development for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it's the most unusual, unlikely thing, which is why I'm going with it.
Could you imagine how pissed people would be if we don't get to play as Kairi, but we have to fight her at the end of 4?
Well,
I think it's...
Yeah, that's why I think it's possible.
Yeah. Always aim for the thing that's going to piss off the most people. That's probably the most most likely outcome. All right. That concludes round 2, which means you move on to round 3, which is going to be new Disney worlds. So this is a much broader field here, and Shane will get to determine the order here, and then we'll loop back to PJ and then me.
So I think I like the idea of picking 2 in a row.
Okay.
So I think I will be number 3, and Pat's been at the top for way too long.
Yeah, I've heard.
I think I'll let PJ start us off this round. Go to Pat, and then end on me being number 3.
Okay. PJ gets first pick for, and I'm going to say no Star Wars. This is not.
Yes.
We're not going to count Star Wars for this because that's kind of like a weird limbo status for that right now.
Sure.
That's the only thing off the board for PJ.
Cool, it's fine. I wasn't going to pick it anyway. My first choice is Underland from Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland 2010.
Oh man, PJ's going live action.
I gotta.
No, I know. It makes sense. Because we know
Here's
that
the thing with this,
Nomura
though.
likes it.
He loves it. He's mentioned it in various interviews
yeah.
over the years, and that's a pretty good indicator of whether or not something's going to be in Kingdom Hearts at some point. And as far as like live action things that you can put into Kingdom Hearts, it's not a particularly well written movie, but it is a visual feast. And it was fun to play in. It also deviates so much from the source material because it's technically a sequel to Alice in Wonderland that it's not a movie rehash, and it's not something that's done poorly. By default, it's one of the better quote-unquote live-action remakes. And it would just be fun. It would be a lot of fun, and I like the parody of Sora potentially going there first in 4, lining up with it being his first Disney World in the first game.
That'd be really cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's tough with the live-action stuff because I feel like, we said this already in this video, but if it's going to happen, now would be the time for most of the things to be live-action. I did the World Watch, 2 years ago at this point, and, I feel like in my bones, and I don't love it, but I feel like live-action is likely to be, like, the majority of the Disney content that we get. For Underland, I wouldn't hate that. Like you said, I'm not, a huge fan of the movie, but I think on a visual level, it would be really fun to explore. I do like the parallels there. I'm tempted to go the live-action route as well, but I think for my own sanity and for what I would more like the game to look like, and this has always been my chalk pick for number 1 movie to show up in 4, but I have to go with Moana.
Yeah.
It's just such a huge movie. I feel like it came out in that bracket of time where Nomura talked about movies that he wished he could have put in the game, but it was too late into development. It's in that 2016, 2018 sweet spot. And I know it might be a little repetitive with Caribbean and KH3, but I feel like there's enough to differentiate it and to have a more cartoony angle to things. You don't have to do the sailing mechanics again, but I think there's a lot to mine there, both on a story and on an environmental level.
Yeah, that was kind of my number 1 pick as well.
Yeah.
So I think I am going to kind of bounce off that a little bit. I'm going to go for another more modern 3D animated movie, and I'm going to go with Raya.
Okay, yeah.
Because there is the whole concept of Princesses of Heart in that movie. I think that they are straying a little bit away from the kind of older traditional movies, and they're trying to break a little new ground, and I think Raya would kind of fit into that mold as well.
Yeah, I could see that.
So a Raya-based world would be my first pick. My second pick I was going to choose Moana, but given that we might quote unquote be seeing that missing link asterisk question mark.
Yeah.
I think that my second pick. Let me know if this is too generic and if I need to hone in on this, but maybe a Marvel-based world.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just MCU. That was on my list.
MCU, yeah.
Yeah, that's a short list for me too, but I knew I wasn't gonna get to it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, sorry. We're having Star Wars. They're going to go into Star Wars. They've gone into Pixar.
Right.
They're kind of branching out into that new what else can we possibly get type of deal. And they've dealt with the idea of going into other worlds. It's cinematic universes in the title, so
Yeah, that's a good pick. I wasn't sure if it got back to me if I was going to take it or not, because I think that's maybe more likely than what I'm gonna go for here. But what I really, really want, and maybe even more than Moana, I really want both of these. I really want Coco in KH4. I feel like the odds were greater before we knew that Sora just straight up wakes up in Quadratum. I know the Disney original story integration has not been the smoothest, but I feel like an angle of Sora waking up in the afterworld setting of Coco it would have lended itself so well to where things are heading for his story. I still think there's a non-zero possibility that he gets to go there, or other characters in a split campaign situation go to a Coco world. It's such a vibrant movie. I feel like the environment is so well suited for KH. Comes out in that same bracket of time that I mentioned with Moana. It was like a 2017 release, I think. I feel like I could see Nomura thinking that he missed the boat on getting Coco into KH3 and saving it for 4, so I'm going to go with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Coco's the most likely of any of the animated
Pixar.
3D films because it deals with death.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I actually think that's a pretty solid choice.
All right, we go back to PJ first.
Do I get 2? I get 2 now? Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna go with Maleficent, the Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, that was also on my short list.
This has been like something that PJ's been stumping for a long time now, and I do really like the idea of it.
A long time. Before 3 came out, I was like, oh, I think this is gonna happen. Let me tell you why. They are doing something with the animated Maleficent in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
They are setting her up, whether it's a nothing burger, I don't know. I would like to think that Nomura's master plan was getting the alternate Maleficent in the game. And this feels like a more appropriate place to do it than any other game beforehand because of the setting.
Yeah.
And the theme of Kingdom Hearts 4 is different characters looking at the same thing and having wildly different perspectives and dealing with that. Like, what is real, what is fake, what is good, what is bad. And their perspectives not necessarily being wrong because it's up to them. So when you have a character like Maleficent, and you have a different perspective on that character, it becomes a different narrative. And I think whatever she's planning in the Kingdom Hearts world, we've already seen that she time traveled specifically to change her story. And she gets very frustrated that she can't. So I think it would make sense that she goes to a world line in which she has a happier ending. And that is the Angelina Jolie Maleficent. And I think it would be a very Nomura-esque thing to have animated Maleficent and live-action Maleficent battle it out.
God, or be best friends and do cool shit together.
I don't think that's gonna.
I think that'd be so funny. I think both would be really fun. But like, the thing that I always get hung up on with the live-action picks, and I talked about this in the World Watch, is like the likenesses. Like, I just have no idea how it works.
Yes.
Like, do they have the money? Does it have to
licensing.
be Angelina Jolie? Like, could it just be kind of vaguer?
Here's the thing. I've thought about this too. Disney Infinity had both Tim Burton's Alice and Angelina Jolie's Maleficent.
That's right.
In the game. And the actors, they paid for the likenesses, and Angelina Jolie actually like co-designed her figure.
Oh wow!
And approved of it in Disney Infinity. Like, she signed off on it, and the person that did her voice. So I don't think they have any problem with that. And Angelina Jolie just signed up for a 3rd Maleficent movie.
Oh right. Yeah.
Oh.
So I think that everything is going to be fine with that.
Listen, I love it. I love that angle.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a good time.
And you get another pick.
I know, and this one's unconventional, but I think it's the best of both worlds. And it's something, again, that Nomura has talked about in an interview. Mary Poppins!
Yeah. Great pick. Animated and
I don't
live
actually
action.
know if it'll happen, but yeah, it's got that marriage of both. Nomura talked about it in an interview relatively recently, and by that I mean over the past 2 or 3 years, where he wants to bring Mary Poppins into Kingdom Hearts, but doesn't know how. I think now's the time, and I like that it's not the doom and gloom of the live actions or of Star Wars or of the MCU. Like, it's
very bright,
it's
colorful.
Classic Disney, but it's also live action.
Yeah.
And it's also Disney's favorite film. Like, that was his magnum opus, was Mary Poppins.
For good
Yeah,
reason.
I was gonna say, out of all of like the big legacy Disney properties that haven't been in KH yet, I think Mary Poppins is like the most glaring omission. So I think that's a really solid pick.
Yeah. And so go on and take whatever scraps you guys have left.
I mean, there are a lot of good movies left, and a lot of movies that I think people want to see, and I want to see in KH4. God, and I know we just talked about all the live action stuff. I'm not going to live action. I'm going all. I mean, they're all like CG animated movies. Is my trend here. And I think I'm gonna go with Inside Out. Not only do I think it'd be really fun, I think there's a lot of potential there, especially if we can get as integrated as like going into the minds of KH original characters, whether it's like a Ven or an Aqua or even a Sora in some weird, crazy way, however that works. Inside Out 2 is slated for release sometime soon. This movie also came out in that bracket of time that I mentioned, so outside of it not being a kind of grittier, more realistic live-action movie, I think it's checking all of the boxes that you would typically want to check for a KH game. KH4 is an odd duck I feel like it's going to be different than the first mainline 3, but I do think if we were picking movies for a game that we didn't know was going to be dealing with live action shit, I feel like Inside Out would have to be a top 3 pick. My only trepidation is that we know we're in this unreality angle, but I feel pretty good about that.
I think that it works, especially if you're going inside the mind of a Kingdom Hearts original character, especially one from Sora's reality, because then when you're in their mind, the cartoony logic would still apply, right?
Yeah.
And with this game being about changing people's minds in multiple perspectives, like there is a case to be made about going in someone's mind this time rather than their heart, and like seeing what makes them tick from a different perspective. So I think that's actually a really solid choice.
Yeah.
Thanks, PJ.
You're welcome. I hate saying it, but it's true.
All right, Shane gets pick number 9.
All right, so if Pat got the scraps, I get the stones on which the scraps sit.
Yeah.
I think
the sword and the stone.
Yeah. No, not quite that scrappy.
Yeah.
Now this has been actually rumored since the last Missing Link beta.
Don't you
release. Dare. I am.
Oh, no.
I would love to see this in 4. I think it is going to get used in Missing Link rather than 4, but considering, there's 8 other ones that kind of,
Yeah.
I think I am going to go with Luca.
It was not rumored. It was something that I very clearly picked out based off of the descriptions at the event.
Oh
that
my
is
God.
a PJ thing only.
That's a PJ original.
And thus I started the rumor that Luca was but yeah, it's also one of those more modern things. It's 3D, it's Pixar. There were a couple other Pixar ones I was looking at, but I wasn't really convinced with any of the other picks, to be honest. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Luca.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pick, Shane. I think my sort of reservations with Luca is that I feel like it's such a small scale and like personal story.
Yeah.
And they've definitely made worlds like that work in past games, but it wasn't on my list actually. I had a lot of stuff left that I didn't have a chance to even consider because I got most of my picks. MCU was above Inside Out for me, but I also had Zootopia on there. I have Encanto, which again kind of smaller scale, but it was so huge. And then for like outside picks, I had like Onward because I feel like there's the death and bringing someone back angle there. Princess and the Frog, even though it's 2D, if there is going to be a 2D movie, I think that's going to be the one that we haven't seen yet. And then Cars. I just think there's like a non-zero chance that we get like a Cars minigame world.
I hope we're all.
I don't like Cars.
Yeah.
Okay, that ends round 3, which means PJ will get to pick the draft order for returning Disney worlds. So worlds we've already seen in a previous game that could be coming back. We're going to say no Olympus or Underworld as a caveat for this one.
Yes. Yep.
Sure.
So PJ picks draft order.
Let's flip things around a little bit and have it be Chain goes first, and then Pat, and then me.
All right, sounds good.
I think that, and I was kind of looking through these when I was looking through the Pixar films. I want to say that maybe because Toy Story has 5 movies now to choose from, and they already have the assets from Kingdom Hearts 3, why would they not reuse Toy Story,
Yeah.
I know it's a weird number 1 pick, but I think that, there's things to be said, an argument to be made for Toy Story. Do you want me to specify the movie, or is just a
No, so it's actually returning worlds, so it would just be like,
Toy Box.
Toy Box. So that's fine, unless they could call it something else. But if it's a Toy Story world again, that's a point for Chain whenever this Cage 4 comes out. So
I had there was an argument a long time ago that an obvious world would be Lightyear because it's from a different world line, and I liked the idea of in Kingdom Hearts reality, it's they're toys,
right?
And Verimax is a video game. In Verimex's reality, that's real, and so is Buzz Lightyear. But now that Buzz Lightyear bombed, I don't
see, that's the thing, like it bombed and like nobody really likes it, but like that is such a good angle to take with it. Like if it was a good movie that did well, I think it would be 80% more likely. It's just
and
it's
I don't
tough.
think the doing well thing is necessarily a good barometer for inclusion in Kingdom Hearts because Tron is a cult classic and it was thrown in there.
Yeah.
But I also don't think there's been enough time after Lightyear for
Yeah,
it to be
it's still pretty
considered a
fresh.
cult classic. So,
All right, Toy Box off the board. That was definitely on my list. So I'm between two here, and I'm hoping this other one gets back to me. I think... Oh man, it's so tough because of the reception that this world got in KH3, and I don't know if it's wise, but I don't know if Nomura cares. Oh god, I'm just gonna say Arendelle.
Yeah,
Because Frozen 2, you know, I know we just said it doesn't really matter how big a movie is, but, like, it did even better at the box office than the first Frozen. Is it not, like, one of the 5, like, biggest animated movies of all time, if not, like, top 3 or, like, top 2? Like, it's gotta be up there. I know Frozen 2 is, like, kind of a mess. Like, I know a lot of people aren't a fan of it. I'm not a huge Frozen 2 guy. But, you know, just on the... You know, it's like, it's a tour de force, that movie. The whole brand. Like, it's had a vice grip on culture for 10+ years. I just think out of all of the KH3 worlds, I even had this above Toy Box. I feel like it's the most likely to come back. It has a sequel, it has such a following, and Nomura loves Frozen. That's another thing, like, we know. Like, people think that, you know, Frozen was forced onto him for KH3 and he had to put it in. Like, that was first and foremost a Nomura decision. He wanted that in the game, so...
yeah, they picked that before it became a phenomenon.
Right, yeah,
Like,
that as well.
They saw it, they knew it was over.
Yep. Alright, 2 picks for PJ.
Here's something that you're not gonna expect. Timeless River.
Ooh,
I would love
that's
that.
really fun. It wasn't on my list, but I love that.
I think that, you know, there is a lot of looking at the modern, looking at the live action, looking at the reality. But another angle to take with dealing with the foretellers and this ancient darkness is that of the old, of the ancient.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, the Timeless River era would be fun to take a look into. I also think that Mickey is going to have his own kind of narrative in this game. I, you know, didn't get to pick him as a playable character, but he's been commanded to go explore Scala at Kylum, and who knows what he'll find there. I think it would be a lot of fun if Mickey went through like a time traveling situation. That would kind of help demystify his inclusion in the original key to an extent. But regardless, I think that it's also a good playing ground for your introduction of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. I know it's a little fanficky. I know that Epic Mickey is already doing it. But Nomura said in an interview he asked to include Oswald in Kingdom Hearts, and he was told no. He also does not take no for an answer. So
Yeah, I mean that was a good while ago, wasn't it? Like, when was that interview?
yeah, that was before 3 was when he asked. So it's been a while.
And I feel
Things
like
might have changed.
with Epic Mickey getting the remaster, I feel like, you know, Oswald might be back in the public consciousness again. So
I think the remake is why they were told no, because I know that remake has been happening for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that Disney was probably like, we already have a major thing happening right now of relaunching Epic Mickey. We don't want to take
That's
focus
fair,
on
yeah.
Oswald and that property.
Yeah, Oswald is booked.
yeah, his agent says no.
Like what was it, Laguna?
Yeah, Laguna can't be in Dissidia and BBS at the same time.
BBS, yeah.
All right, Timeless River off the board. PJ gets pick number 4.
Oh boy. Arendelle was a really obvious one that I was sitting on. I think 100 Acre Wood with a twist.
Yeah, I could see that. That was high up on my list.
Winnie the Pooh is in most of the games. He's in every mainline game. He's an important part to Sora. I think a really great plot would be if they incorporated the plot from the Christopher Robin live action movie.
Yeah,
where Pooh leaves the 100 Acre Wood and goes looking for Sora.
Yeah.
Oh god,
around.
it would just be, it's like too clever and too good, you know. And I talked about that.
I
when
know
did the
that's why
World
it's not
Watch.
gonna happen.
Yeah, because like Pooh walking around in Quadratum as like kind of like a more realistic like stuffed animal version of himself, it would be so good, but it's too good. And Disney is so picky about what is allowed to happen in the series lately. But I would love that.
Just imagine Sora sitting in a park being really sad and trying to think of what to do, and then, you know, behind him on the next bench he goes, think.
Oh
think.
god.
And he turns around and he's right there.
I'd burst into tears. I'll be like
would
33 years old when this game comes out and I'll cry. Yep.
Oh god, how old will I be? But since Kingdom Hearts 2, like, you know, Pooh said to Sora, like, if I go looking for you, will I find you? Like,
yeah,
he's been threatening to do it for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think it would be very cute.
Yeah, it would be. I love that. Okay, comes back to me for pick number 5, and I was hoping this would get back to me, and maybe you're gonna think I'm dumb for this, but because it was used in Union Cross, so it is a potential returning world, and I know we had some synergy here with 3 with the summon, but I'm just gonna say Game Central Station. I feel like when we're exploring, unrealities, whether or not things are real or fictional, whether they're video games or not, I don't know if we delve into specific. I think we would have to go to Candy Kingdom or the Cybug sector. It's not always going to take place in the train station type thing, but I think there's potential for different segments that you can come back to throughout the game, unlock Ralph's world or Vanellope's or what's her name, Jane Lynch's world. You could have that be something that you come back to and have it split into different arcs. I think it'd be really fun.
Here's the thing, Pat.
Yep.
The Game Central Station's the tube that connects it to the Master's computer is where the 4 darknesses were sealed.
Yep.
That's a good point. I wasn't even considering
there's
that.
Inside the LAN
plot.
cable, yeah.
So there's a decent plot reason for going there.
Hell yeah. And I knew that the whole time when I picked it, definitely.
I know that you didn't know that because you don't care about the mobile games, but it turns out there's some reasons that you should pay attention.
Yeah, I know. Go watch the demo dub if you need to catch up on the mobile games. Great dubs of the Union Cross.
Absolutely.
All right, back to Shane for picks 6 and 7.
Okay, so keeping all that in mind, I think we're kind of narrowing things down a little bit. I think the unlikeliness starts to pop up significantly more.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see the Grid, the Symphony Sorcery. I am going to say, you know what? Fuck it. Agrabah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. Because I think, if we're tackling it from the angle of live action remakes, I think that Agrabah would, the Aladdin remake is not in the same vein as a Maleficent or Alice in Wonderland 2010. That's just a straight up remake of the OG 92 one. So
yeah.
I think if it shows up in live action form, we would count that as a returning Disney World. I think that's only fair.
Yeah, no, I think I would.
And it was on my list, so.
Oh, perfect. Wow. And I think, yeah, like I said, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. I'm gonna go more for a less likely one, but more of a dream one. I would love to see Kingdom of Corona again, and maybe them tackle, the series. That'd be great. It's not gonna happen. That's okay. But I'll let my dreams be dreams.
Yeah, that's a fair pick. That was number 5 on my list. I had that beneath Toy Box and 100 Acre Wood because I was thinking about the series, thinking about that it had a pretty, I think, warm reception generally in KH3. So that leaves me with pick number 8. And now we're really struggling.
Yeah.
I got 2 things here, but I might swap them in the order that I had them originally. I'm gonna go with the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I don't think it can coexist with Moana, or Alice in Wonderland 2010. I mean, the Johnny Depp angle is concerning to me. I don't know what they do with that. But there's 2 or 3 other Pirates movies after At World's End, so I think there's room there. It fits the live action angle if we go that way. I don't really have any positive memories of Pirates 4. Haven't seen Pirates 5. So it might not be good, but there's plenty of Caribbean stuff to still do there. So I don't know. I don't feel great about that, but I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah.
All right, PJ number 9.
Oh man, I really thought I would know what I would pick by now. I will go with Castle of Dreams.
Okay.
Yeah. Live action angle?
Perhaps, or an additional fairy godmother role. I would love to see her usurp Yensid as the magical mentor for this new arc. She's been infinitely more helpful in the 10 minutes of screen time that she's had.
Yeah.
Since Remind. And I just love her. And I love Cinderella. And I think the live action Cinderella, if it gets incorporated, it's one of the better live action remakes and one of the more successful ones. And I think, I think it would be fine. But regardless, I think that that's an okay guess.
Yeah, I think it's fair. All right, so for our last category, we're going to go for something a little out there. It's going to be new Final Fantasy cameos. So Final Fantasy characters who have not appeared in the games at all. We're going to say that medals from Union Cross don't apply there. So if they're in a medal, they're still game for this.
Yeah.
And I get to pick the order here. Do I want first, second, or third pick? I think I actually want third pick on this because I feel like this could really go anywhere. So I would like to get 2 options pretty early on. So I'll go third, and then I'm going to have Shane first, PJ second.
I have a question before we get into it. Can we make it general Square Enix cameos in case?
we'll open it up to all Square Enix, so you can pull from Chewie.
Okay.
Cool.
And the bouncer.
Yeah.
Gotta go for the obvious one. Gotta go for the Noctis. That's
Yeah.
PJ go.
Yeah.
You think that's obvious?
I think it's the most wanted one.
I think
Yeah, but I think
it's tough with Yozora in the mix now.
I think
Right,
Yozora
yes.
kills him dead.
He's on my
I
list,
could absolutely
but he wasn't.
see that, but it's
Yeah.
like that's the first one that comes to mind, you know.
The only way that I could see Noctis working out is if he is dramatically modified, like the kid version of Noctis or something like that.
Mhm.
But, it's certainly probably one of the most wanted. I just think with the Verum Rex of it all, I don't know. But maybe.
Yeah. All right, PJ, pick number 2.
Well, you probably think I'm going to go in one direction, but turns out I'm not. I'm picking Ayabrea from Parasite Eve.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. That's not what I expected at all.
Yeah, guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what, fuckers? She was supposed to be in the original
That's
Kingdom
right.
Hearts, and Aerith
Yep.
took her role.
Yep.
That's so crazy. I always forget about that.
She would fit in really well in Quadratum.
Yeah.
Better than any other Final Fantasy character I could think of.
God.
So,
You think people would be pissed if it's like they spend all of 3 in the post-3 era, like, complaining that there's no FF characters and they bring in someone from Parasite Eve for 4?
I would love that.
Yeah,
you
me
don't
too.
get it.
I
I
would-
want
I
to
would
make
enjoy
people
that.
mad.
I would
Yeah.
love for people to be angry. Okay, 2 picks for me. This might be dumb, but I don't know. I feel like this game has gotten a warmer legacy as the years have gone by. I feel like maybe the prime time for this person to show up has already passed, but I'm gonna go with Lightning from Final Fantasy
Ooh.
13. I feel like 13 is sort of like the 7 of the I would say modern era, but at this point that game came out in 2009. But like it's spanned off into its own kind of sub franchise. I feel like she'd fit in. I don't really know that much about her. I've never even played 13, but I just know that she's a huge Final Fantasy presence.
Let me tell you, Pat.
Yeah.
She's a princess, and she has personal beef with gods
Yep.
in her storyline.
Perfect.
She would have been a perfect inclusion for Olympus.
Yeah. All right, so I feel good about that then. And then I'm going to shift gears a little bit for my next one. I think I'm going to go with Barrett. Barrett Wallace.
Ooh, I would love to
Yeah.
see. Oh my god. Just with a black censor bar over his mouth the entire
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look what they did to Sid, you know.
Yeah. I just think with Remake and Rebirth being, so big, and obviously FF7 is the most popular Final Fantasy, I think that'd be great to see him, not counting his role as the shopkeeper in Twilight Town who's named Wallace.
Yeah.
They're going to call this separate actual Barrett. I think out of the remaining FF7 cast, he'd be the one that'd be most psyched to see. I don't know how likely it is. I don't know if we're going to start pulling in other characters from games that we've already had represented at this point. I think it's more likely that we get from new unrepresented Final Fantasies, but or if we just get, returning characters that we've already seen and no new ones, but I'd be excited to see Barrett, so. That goes back to PJ for pick number 5.
If we're gonna go for things that make narrative sense and close out arcs, Renoa from Final Fantasy VIII.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Squall, I mean, it's all but confirmed that the reason why he changed his name was because something happened with Renoa. Her sigil is on his jacket, and then she sends him a letter in the credits of Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting if that got resolved.
Yeah, I would love that.
But maybe the letter is the resolution. I don't know. But
Yeah, it could be like,
it's
hey, I'm
possible.
alive, I didn't die. You thought I died in Radiant Garden, but I made it out, and I'm living in Olympus Coliseum with Zack or something.
Look at my floating sigil. It
Yeah.
serves no purpose. It's just going to piss you off.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, 2 picks for Jane.
So if I think at this point, because of the Crisis Core remake, if Zack wasn't already in Birth by Sleep, I'd definitely pick Zack at this point. However, that has been done, and yeah, we're running out of FF7 characters, but I'm gonna have to go with the I know Edgy is kind of out the door a little bit. We're kind of past that, but then I look at everything that Quadratum is and FF15 was and Versus 13 was, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? Maybe there's hope. Maybe there's hope for some of my edgy characters. So all 3 of mine are gonna be very edgy. And I'm going to go. This is out of left field, but I'm gonna say Jack from Stranger in Paradise.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I totally forgot about Stranger Paradise, so.
Yeah, he talks about wanting to kill chaos, and
Yeah.
I haven't played Stranger of Paradise, So I don't know how much of his story ties in, but I know it's kind of a reset for the Final Fantasy series. So, and Kingdom Hearts 4 is kind of a new dawn of a new era, if you will. So,
yeah, inspired pick. I like it.
Nice.
Damn.
Goes back to PJ.
I'm stuck between two choices, and I don't like being here. I'm gonna go with my most interesting pick and just say anybody from the Bouncer.
Anybody from the Bouncer? Could it be Duragon C. Mikado? That's the only one that I know.
Anybody. It could be anybody from the Bouncer.
All right, I think that's fair because the Bouncer is obscure enough that saying anyone from the Bouncer is not like really hogging too much. So, because I was not fighting for a Bouncer character.
no,
Yeah.
I don't know them well enough to be like.
Yeah.
This one. Right. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, it means I get pick number 9, and there's a lot of stuff on the board that I would still like to see. I know the fans are clamoring and have been for Kefka. I feel like his time has passed, unless there's like an FF6 project that comes out, relatively soon. But even at that point, I feel like we're too late in the KH4 dev cycle. We've always wanted like a big Kefka super boss, so I would love that, but I'm not gonna go there. I don't know if this is too new. Should I go back with FF7 again, or should I go... Fuck it. I'm gonna say Clive from FF16.
Ooh.
Maybe as a very minor role. If anything, I would think that the game is just barely new enough that it could be in there in KH4. I've only played a tiny bit of FF16, but he seemed like a cool guy. I don't really know if it would tie into the story at all, but I just think, it's the new property. I think there's legs there. I was really between him and Red 13, but I feel like they don't want to like have a character who has 13 in the name that doesn't have to do with the organization or like KH-centric 13 stuff, so that's the only reason I didn't go for him. If he was just called Red, or if they called him his real name, which I forget, maybe I'd put him in there.
Nanaki.
There you go, yep.
Yeah.
One quick thing on Clive, I think he's an interesting choice considering that Nomura did not design him.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That was so dumb of me. Shit. All right. Well, I totally forgot.
Include that part in.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, look, he included Vivi, and he didn't design Vivi.
Yeah.
And there's conflicting reports of whether or not he had anything to do with Setzer's creation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that is a huge thing that I totally didn't think about, so oops. But maybe this will be, listen, dawn of a new era, maybe Nomura, lets other people's characters be in the game. I know he says, like, it's only my characters because I don't feel like I should be using other people's stuff, but that's a great excuse for someone who wants the game to be full of their own characters.
Oh, 100%.
Alright, so I think that's going to conclude our draft. To recap, so for my team, for my non-Sora playable characters, I went with Riku, Aqua, and Lee. For the final boss, I went with Lushu, Ira, and Sora. For new Disney Worlds, Moana, Coco, and Inside Out. For returning Disney Worlds, Arendelle, Game Central Station, and the Caribbean. And for new Square cameos, we have Lightning, Barrett, and Clive. That's Team Pat. For Team Chain, for non-Sora playable characters, we have Yozora, Mickey, and Roxas. For final bosses, once again, Yozora, Riku, and Ava. For new Disney Worlds, Raya, the MCU, and Luca. For returning Disney Worlds, we have Toy Box, Agrabah, and Kingdom of Corona. And for new cameos, we have Noctis, Vincent, and Jack from Stranger Paradise. And Team PJ, for non-Sora playable characters, Kairi, Ven, and Donald/Goofy. For final bosses, a Primordial Darkness, Sigurd, or Kairi. New Disney Worlds, we have Underland from Alice 2010, the Angelina Jolie Maleficent, and Mary Poppins. For returning Disney Worlds, Timeless River, 100 Acre Wood, Castle of Dreams, and for new Square cameos, Aya, Renoa, and The Bouncer. So those are the teams. Let us know in the comments who has not only the best team, but what you think is the most accurate team. And thank you both for joining me for this little project here. I really appreciate that. KH4 Draft is now complete.
Woo!
And make sure to check out marchcaprice.com. All sorts of fun stuff coming out this week to celebrate the series that we all love. We'll be back here. Maybe we'll do like a panel whenever KH4 comes out to discuss, our score for this, because there's no winner right now. There's no fanfare, no congratulations, no fake prize to give out.
I already know I'm winning. It's fine.
So let's just say congratulations, PJ, the most inspired choices.
Yay!
Yay!
I think the important thing here is that nobody picked Jungle Book.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We got through an entire prediction project without Jungle Book even being mentioned. So
Or Treasure Planet or Atlantis.
yeah, no Treasure Planet, no Atlantis. So I think
Let it go,
I think we did a good job. Shane and PJ, thanks again,
Thank you.
and we'll see you next time. Take it easy, everybody. Bye.
Happy
Bye.
March Caprice.
Happy March Caprice.